How's it going, YouTube? This is Skul, and welcome to my video game pickups for the month of October 2022. I have a whole lot of stuff to show off this month, and I'm looking forward to it. Just like I had a few months ago, I've got this other camera here that I'll be able to do close-ups of all my stuff, so hopefully you guys get a good look at it all. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The very first thing I want to show off is this adorable fox plush. Look at it, isn't it absolutely cute? So I forgot to show this off last month. I went to Florida in August to see NASA's launch attempt of Artemis 1. It didn't go, which means I've got to go again in November to try and see it again. But on my way back, I swung by Virginia, which I've never been to before, and met up with one of my good friends, Ju-chan, and she gave me this adorable little fox plush. And I'm in love with it. It's absolutely adorable. Thank you so much, Ju-chan, for this. It's technically not a game, but it's a gift from a friend that I really, really love, so thank you so much for this. And it will be a part of my game room, so there you go. Okay, do you remember when I said that I was struggling to get an amiibo? This is the amiibo. Finally got it. So, yeah, this is the... what is this called? Well, this is a Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak amiibo, and, I don't know why these things are so hard to get. I pre-ordered it from PlayAsia, they canceled my pre-order. I ordered it from Amazon, they shipped it to the wrong address. And I finally ordered it again from PlayAsia, and they finally got it to me. So it just sucks that I had to order this 3 times before it finally got to me. And I suppose I could have tried to get this from GameStop. I'm just kidding. I'm not buying anything from GameStop. Anyway, so finally got it, and combined this with the Alex and Steve amiibo that just released, which I just got a hold of. I now have, once again, a complete amiibo collection. Every single amiibo ever released in a store anywhere in the world. Once again, complete, and we'll see how long that lasts. We got the Splatoon 3 themed amiibo releasing next month, so yeah, gotta get those when those release. Let me go ahead and show this off next. This is probably my favorite thing I picked up this month. This is a figurine released by the Pokemon Center of Latios and Latios. Just take a look at that. So Latios is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time, and love Latios as well. But I just saw that they were releasing this figurine, and I thought, you know what? I've got to get it. I'll never forgive myself if I don't get it. So I got it. Let me go ahead and show it off on this camera again. It looks absolutely gorgeous. All 360 degrees. Just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful little figurine of these two. Probably the most beautiful thing that's ever been released of these two. So I'm super happy to have it now and have it proudly displayed in my game room. And I'm never getting rid of that. So, let me go ahead and show this off next. This may look like any normal PlayStation 1, but if you were to pop it open, you see that? There's no disk drive. This is called an XStation, and for the most part, it's a modification to the internals of the PlayStation, not the outside. But you see how there's a little SD card in there? That has about 400 PS1 games on it, and the XStation allows for me to play all of them without the need of the actual discs. So, you remember a few episodes ago I was talking about flashcards? Well, basically it's not actually, but it's basically a flash cart for the PS1. And I've wanted that for so long. I really struggled to get this because I ordered my original XStation mod kit back in like January, February. Then I shipped it and my launch model PS1 off to the modder. It got lost in the mail. These things are not cheap. So I ended up, after we moved and after I had settled in, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do it again. So I ordered another XStation mod kit, and it took over a month. Actually, I think it took 2 months to reach me. And then I also had to get another PS1, and I wanted it specifically to be one of these 1001 models, as you see up there, because that means it's a launch model. Now, I don't know if this is a day one model, and I know for a fact that my old PS1 was a model that was bought on day one, and I wish to God that it didn't get lost in the mail. But this is as close as I can get, so I finally got everything together, shipped it off to the modder. Finally, after spending the entirety of 2022 trying to get one of these, finally have one. And let me tell you, it's been really fun and such an eye-opener to be able to play the entire PS1 library on real hardware whenever I want. I still love collecting PS1 games, but this lets me play a whole lot of the hard-hitting games without having to own them. Stuff that is going for $100 or more, like Castlevania Symphony of the Night, don't have to worry about it. I've got every PS1 game I could ever wish on this, and it's region-free, so I can play stuff like Pepsi Man on there. In fact, I already have. Fun little game. XStation, super happy to have it. About time. Okay, so the rest of these, I've gotta do a little bit of a explanation of what I'm doing with these. So, I've decided that I wanted to collect for quite a few series. The number one series I'm collecting for is Pokemon. I have basically completed my set, except for 2 games, which I'm holding off on for reasons. But I also wanted to start collecting The Legend of Zelda and Final Fantasy and another series that I'll go ahead and show you in a second here. But basically, I've been doing joke bids on eBay all month, just seeing stuff on eBay that I'm like, you know what, I would like that if it never goes for more than what it's listed for. So like if the opening bid is $5 or $10 or something like that, my top bid is only $5 or $10, and I won way more than I expected. So let's go ahead and show off. The very first thing I got was this copy of Pokemon Black in Japanese on the DS. And I think this cost me $10. Considering how much the English Gen 5 games are going for, I'll take it. And I've already looked into this. It was a very heavily played game. Whoever played this loved it a lot. And I'm very happy to have a Japanese Gen 5 game now for shiny hunting reasons and for the sake of just adding more stuff to my collection. Should probably put it over there. I only ended up winning a single Zelda game that I didn't have, The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds, which I've heard great things about. I've actually wanted to play this ever since it first came out. I just haven't had the chance because I didn't own it. I got this for an insanely good price, and it's the regular edition, not the Nintendo Selects version. Nintendo Selects version is always cheaper, but it was really important to me to get the regular version. So, another Zelda game to knock off my list. Okay, let me go ahead and show off this stack of stuff here. This is the other franchise that I was telling you about. So, I don't know, I'm not at all embarrassed by this, okay? I love the Powerpuff Girls, the one from the 90s on Cartoon Network. I think a lot of people my age, boys and girls, will all agree that it's one of the best shows that Cartoon Network put out. It's basically a tie between that and Dexter's Lab from the era. Anyway, when I saw how few Powerpuff Girls games there are, I decided to start getting them. And you would be surprised at how cheap these can go for. Like, for example, I've got these 2 Game Boy Color games right here. Bad Mojo Jojo and Paint the Townsville Green. And they are complete in box. This is everything, the box, the manuals, the games, of course, and the inserts, like the advertisements and stuff. And they were, like, $30-$40 each. It's ridiculous how cheap these are. You would think that complete in-box Game Boy games would be a lot more expensive, but I guess I'm just so used to like the heavy hitters like Zelda and Pokemon just going for hundreds of dollars that I forget, you know, people don't really care about these, but I do. So that's 2 Game Boy Color games, and got a PlayStation 1 game here, Chemical Extraction, which I put in this nice brand new jewel case so it looks absolutely flawless. I told you I'm not done collecting PS1 games. Really good condition. And this game, Relish Rampage on PS2. And thanks to these 4 games, I actually have about half of all the Powerpuff Girls games ever released. Kind of insane. I know I'm missing another GBC game, I'm missing 2 GBA games, a DS game that was only released in Japan, and a Nintendo 64 game, which I actually do have loose, but that complete box is going for a lot more than just 30 bucks, let me tell you. N64 collectors are ridiculous. Source, I am a Nintendo 64 collector, or at least I was. So yeah, not bad considering I placed joke bids on pretty much all of these. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to have these. And it's a great start to my Powerpuff Girls game collection. I also picked up a few new Wii U games for my collection. We got Avengers Battle for Earth and Injustice Gods Among Us. So I am really close to completing my Wii U collection. After adding these to my set, I am now only missing 28 games from my Wii U collection. That's it. Out of 165 games released in North America, that's pretty good. Unfortunately, most of what I'm missing are pretty expensive. They're not the kind of things that I can get for $5 or $10 like this, for the most part. So it'll be a very long time before I do complete my Wii U collection, but I decided this month I was sitting at missing 30 games for long enough, basically for over a year now, and it was time to pick up at least a few that I was missing. Very happy to add 2 more games to my Wii U set. It'll be a very good day when that's complete. And now, for a much larger pile of games, this is my Final Fantasy pickups. So yeah, like I said, I decided I want to start collecting Final Fantasy games. There are so many. There's so many games, including spin-offs, and a lot of them are released on multiple systems. So it's a different kind of animal than trying to collect for Pokemon. That being said, I'm very happy with a lot of the stuff I got this month, and a lot of it was a lot cheaper than you might expect. Joke bids on eBay, I don't know why they kept working for me. And to be clear, I didn't win everything I bid on. In fact, I lost most of them. Like, probably 75% of the stuff I bid on, I didn't win. So it's kind of indicative of how many bids I actually did place on stuff this month. Anyway, so, got Crisis Core on PSP, which I've never played before, and I do not even have a PSP to play this on. But this is getting a re-release on the Switch in December, so I'll have the ability to play it then, and at least now I've got the original. Got quite a few PS1 games here. We got Final Fantasy Origins, which includes Final Fantasy 1 and 2. We got Final Fantasy 9 and Final Fantasy 8. I already had 7. I love 7. And these were ridiculously cheap, like $10 each. It's nuts. I actually ended up with a DS game, which I was not expecting, because this is actually a rather desirable game, Final Fantasy III on DS. And if you can believe it, if I'm not mistaken, this was the very first time that this particular Final Fantasy game was released in the West. Notoriously, the first 6 games, only half of them were originally released here, and then about half of what was left was eventually released on the PlayStation. They skipped 3. It did not get a release in the West until the DS. So this is technically the very first release of this game that you could play in English. So, very happy to have that. My very first Final Fantasy game on DS. And a few of the, well, these are still good games, but they're definitely among the cheaper ones. Like, you could get these for a buck or two just about anywhere. Final Fantasy X and X-2 HD on PS3, Final Fantasy 15 on Xbox One. I had it on PlayStation, now I got it on Xbox, and this one's not so cheap actually. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Echoes of Time on the Wii. And I know Crystal Chronicles has an audience. I know this is not the original one, so it's probably not as good. But still, that's a whole lot of Final Fantasy games for me to add to my collection this month. And now it's time to hop into something a little bigger. So, I love collecting gaming magazines. Up until now, I've only been collecting Nintendo Power. But beginning this month, for some reason, I came across PSM, PlayStation Magazine, which was the biggest magazine for PlayStation in the United States in the 90s and 2000s. I was watching another YouTuber show off their gaming magazines, and I saw them show off the very first PSM issue, which is this one here, As you can see, it focuses on Final Fantasy VII, so this is from 1997, so holy cow, 25 years ago now. And I saw this issue, and I was like, that looks pretty cool. And then I started researching PSM, and I'm like, you know, this looks like a magazine that I think I'd like to collect. Because, now, I gotta make it clear story time with Skul here, I'll make it short. I didn't actually grow up with the PlayStation. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, I only knew of maybe 3 people total, if that, who had a PlayStation when it was relevant. Me personally, I only knew that many people. But as I've grown older, I've just grown to love the aesthetic of PlayStation games and the look of them and the feel of them. The very first non-Nintendo game I ever finished was Final Fantasy VII when I played it on PlayStation in 2018. And I thought, you know what? Collecting PSN magazines might be a whole lot of fun. And since it's a lot more obscure than Nintendo Power, it's also a lot cheaper to collect. This wasn't cheap, this was over $100, but a lot of these other ones were ridiculously cheap. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about them, but you can see here just some of the focus on them. Like this one focuses on PlayStation 2, and think about that. This was probably the first time that most people in the West saw or heard anything about the PS2, and I just think, you know, these things are time capsules. They take you back in time to when all this stuff was first releasing and how cool it was. So yeah, quite a few PSM magazines here, quite a few that I just placed joke bids on. A whole lot of them are just lots. Like it's always cheaper to get retro magazines in lots than to buy them one at a time. And then this here, if you can believe it, is actually the very last PSM magazine, even if it doesn't say so. At some point in, I think, 2007, if I'm correct, I could be wrong, they changed the name from PSM, PlayStation Magazine, to straight up PlayStation Official Magazine. And within a few months, they had completely rearranged their editorial staff to the point where it wasn't even the same magazine, honestly, and it didn't last very long. This is only issue number 66 of the official PlayStation Magazine, and this was the very last one. So, and this is from 2012. Again, hard to believe, this is from 10 years ago. Very first issue from 25 years ago. It's a time capsule, and I love these things. So I decided, you know what, even if it's not a technically PSM, I'm going to collect these as well because it's kind of a continuation of that, and it does have a hard end, which is this one. So yeah, those are my PSM magazines that I got this month, and looks like I got 9 or 10 of them, off to a pretty strong start. That's over 5% of all PSM magazines ever. But I got a whole lot more Nintendo Power magazines, let me tell you. So many. Again, joke bids on lots. Like, look at this. This is a super old one right here. What issue number is this? 20-something. No, 18. Issue number 18. So yeah, placed a whole lot more joke bids on Nintendo Power, and got a whole lot of them. There are some in here that are duplicates, but some of them I got for specific reasons. Like this one, for example, Nintendo Power, this one's in terrible condition, number 126, but I got this one for a specific reason. As you can see here, this has a preview of Pokemon the first movie inside, and it's so cool to look through this. There we go. There's all sorts of stuff in here that is like either early information or it was cut from the film or all kinds of stuff, and it's so cool. Like, I've been on a Pokemon high right now due to working on my Pokemon the first movie fan dub, and I decided, you know what, I want the Nintendo Power issue that previews Pokemon the first movie, even if this is in terrible condition. Like, I'll get a better one later, but it was just important for me to have it right now, especially for the price I paid for it. So we got a few more Nintendo Power issues here in this stack. This one, is this one that I got for any particular reason? I don't think so. I think I just liked the fact that it was advertising the Game Boy Advance. So we got some more. Oh wait, no, this one I actually wanted to show off something in particular. These next two, there is actually something that I wanted to show off. Here we go. Okay. This issue in particular I got because this was the very first mention of Latios and Latios, and it was a preview. Well, it's not a preview. I mean, you could pause the video and read this here, but as you can see, this is a overview of the movie releasing in Japan at the time in 2002, Pokemon Heroes. So this is the very first time most people in the West saw Latios and Latios, and I mean, I just mentioned with my figurine here how much I love those two. So I thought, how cool is it that the first time most people saw it was in an issue of Nintendo Power, and I just realized I'm going to have to blur out a lot of these addresses. That's fine. I know how to edit stuff. And I think this issue I also got for a reason. Yep, because this is an issue that released the following year, and this is a full preview of Pokemon Heroes when it got its theatrical release in the United States. And notoriously, it did very, very poorly. Like, it didn't even gross $1 million here. It did so bad. But it's so cool to see them advertising it in Nintendo Power as if, hey, it's a big film. Go and watch it. My favorite Pokemon film, even. So, of course I had to get that. Of course I did. Okay, those are the only two issues that I think I wanted to show off anything in particular. So, or 3 issues, I guess. So, just some more Nintendo Power issues here. I love that Final Fantasy cover. Got, of course, Twilight Princess. Is this Mario Kart? This is a really... Oh, no, there's 2 of them. That's what... yeah, that's Mario Kart Wii, I think. And there's something solid in here. Holy cow, there's a CD in here. I didn't even know this. Look at that. Look at that. There's a CD in here. Or whatever this is. Is this is a DVD? Okay, so I think that's a DVD preview of a lot of the stuff that's in here. I didn't even know it was in there. Wow. Shows how little I actually look at my stuff when I get it, right? And then this next one is Shadow the Hedgehog. I remember one of my friends actually really loving that game. But they couldn't really tell me why. They just liked Shadow, I guess, because he was edgy. Anyway, got a Resident Evil cover here. Some other Mario game. Final Fantasy III. Remember I was talking about releasing on the DS? Well, there's that. More Twilight Princess. The preview for Diamond and Pearl. As I recall, there were 2 copies of this issue. The one that was given to subscribers had Dialga, and the newsstand copy had Palkia, which I thought was pretty cool. Got Animal Crossing, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Like, right around here is clearly where they started just making it more simplistic on the front. Nothing wrong with simplistic. They were definitely trying to get caught up with the times. Trying to keep themselves relevant up until the end. And they succeeded all the way until 2012 when they gave up. So, having a hard time seeing stuff going on here. Is that Skyward Sword, I think? Epic Mickey, I remember when that came out, it was a big deal. It was like Mickey's return to his roots. Pokemon Black and White. And I forgot to mention, there's quite a few of these issues that I got because they had Pokemon covers, and that's a subset that I'm trying to complete. And I think I'm only missing 5 or 6... something like that. 5 or 6 issues of Nintendo Power now that have Pokemon on the cover, so I'm really close to having a complete subset of that. Kingdom Hearts, love to see that. Epic Mickey again. And then, oh yeah, the rest of these are just some random magazines that were thrown in with the lots. So this is Nintendo Power Advance, which is all about GBA games. It's not technically a part of Nintendo Power, it's something of a spin-off that didn't last too long. This is Mario Kart 64 Official Player's Guide, which is kind of cool. Mario Kart 64 is one of my favorite Mario Kart games. And here's just some kind of a Mario magazine thing, like just a celebration of Mario throughout the years when it released. So, yeah, lots of Nintendo Power stuff here, which I'm not going to dare to move just because, man, that scares me. Okay, and can you believe it? That's not all. I've been going for 20 minutes now, and I actually still have one last thing to show off. And it's huge. So, I helped a friend move across town earlier this year, and she had a lot of stuff, a lot of GameCube stuff that she didn't want anymore, and she asked would I be willing to have it. she was willing to give it to me, but for the sheer amount of stuff in here, I didn't feel good actually taking it from her, so I gave her some money for it. And I'm sure you'll understand why when you actually see what's inside here. Actually, that shows it off pretty well. Yeah. So, there was a GameCube, a Indigo GameCube. Is there anything in here? I tried it out, made sure it works and stuff. It works perfectly fine. So, Indigo GameCube with all the cables and power cables and hookup cables and stuff. We have this GameStop GameCube controller, which is really ugly, but really screwed up. But I know how to clean that if I ever wanted to. I've never really been a fan of the non-official GameCube controllers. They just feel cheap and plasticky to me. We've got this memory card here. I don't know what's on there, if anything, but it's always nice to have extras. And then a whole pile of games. A pile of games. The top one already was amazing, you know, The Wind Waker. One of the best GameCube games ever. And the pre-order bonus for The Wind Waker. So this is the GameCube release of the first 2 Zelda games and the 2 N64 Zelda games. And this is a kind of a desirable disc for some reason, so that's nuts. We also got quite a few other games here. We've got Time Splitters, which I've never played, but I've heard good things about. We got the Sonic Mega Collection, which includes, looking at the back here, looks like all of the Sonic Genesis games. All the Sonic Genesis games, just straight up every single Genesis game, including some spin-offs. Cool. We got Mortal Kombat, Deadly Alliance. I've never been a fan of Mortal Kombat, but hey, cool to have a game. Prince of Persia, The Two Thrones. Kind of cool to see that. And then 2 copies, for some reason, of The Sims. One's the player's choice, one's the normal. I don't know why they would possibly have 2 copies, but it's mine now, so this one's a reproduced label. Huh. This one's real, though. So, there we go. At long last, I'm done. That was my video game pickups for the month of October. By far, this is my favorite thing that I got. This Latios figurine. I'm also very happy to have this Fox. Neither of them is technically a video game, though. In fact, most of the magazines, the magazines don't even count as games either, do they? But they're gaming related, and I think in terms of single items, I think this might be my largest game pickup month ever. And I'm never picking up this many magazines in one month again, trust me. In terms of like actual games that are my favorite, there wasn't really anything new released this month that I got. There will be stuff next month with all the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet stuff. I'm going to be getting the games, I'm going to be getting the OLED, of course the Splatoon 3 amiibo released that day, so yeah, so I don't really know what my favorite actual game was, but I'm very happy to have gotten everything I did, and that'll bring this video to an end. Let me know what games you got this month. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it, and I need to find somewhere to put my magazines, because I think that the box that I had them in is not going to be big enough. That does it for now. Thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for more.